Hi everybody, Slade Perrins here from Speedcafe.com and welcome to another edition of Ryco Filters Clearing the Air. We're out at Norwell Motorplex today, which we'll talk about at the end of the episode with Paul Morris. But first, we're here to preview the upcoming round of the Supercars Championship, the Darwin Triple Crown at Hidden Valley Raceway in the Northern Territory. This weekend is the first ever Supercars Indigenous round. We've seen it in the AFL before, we've seen it in the NRL, and it's great to see Supercars getting behind an initiative like that. This is the first time we've seen Supercars mandate Indigenous liveries for the cars at an event. So some teams have done more than others. We've seen some subtle tweaks and some have made wholesale changes to their liveries. We've got Dick Johnson Racing's, that's a real standout. The Jack Smith car, the Premier Racing Coke car of Chris Pither. So some of those guys have done a great job with their liveries for this weekend. In the break between rounds, between Winton and Darwin, we've had a few storylines developing, which you would have seen on speedcafe.com. The most recently of which is Shane Van Gisbergen competing at 24 Hours of Le Mans in France. So it's been a long time coming for Shane at Le Mans. He finally was able to make his debut after being interrupted by COVID for a few years, and he competed for Riley Motorsports in their Ferrari 488 GTE Evo in the GTE Pro class. It was a hard slog for 24 hours, but the car finished 5th in GTE Pro, 5th in class, and Shane was stoked to just tick that race off his wish list. Gen 3 has been making progress in the background. We had an aero testing out at Toowoomba Wellcamp Airport. So this was the initial VCAT. There'll be one later in the year with the final versions of the cars, and then we'll see what their specs are heading into the 2023 season. Silly season has been bubbling away in the background. We've got questions over Mark Winterbottom and Will Davison. A lot of the top seats are locked away, but there's plenty that could still happen. So lots of developments still to come over the next few weeks, so keep an eye on speedcafe.com. Other news is Nick Percat has a new engineer from effective immediately. Grant McPherson has replaced Jeffrey Slater at Walkinshaw and Geordie United to help pick up their latest form slump, and they're trying something new there. Bathurst is obviously in October, but there's plenty to happen in the lead up. We've got a couple of wild cards that have been announced in the last few weeks. We had the Michael Anderson wild card, so they'll be using a ex-Dick Johnson Racing Ford Mustang. No co-drivers announced for that car just yet. Obviously, Michael Anderson has been doing some stuff in Super 3, but stepping up to the Bathurst 1000 as a Bathurst local this year in a wild card. The boost wild card of Greg Murphy and Richie Sanaway has finally got its first test. Obviously, their plans to race in last year's race were thwarted, but everything's at full steam ahead for this year's Bathurst 1000, and Greg and Richie were able to get a test in at Winton Motor Raceway last week. Supercheap Auto also announced the return of their wild card for the Bathurst 1000. We had Russell Ingall and Brock Feeney last year. We've got Declan Fraser and Craig Lowndes this year. So they'll be running that car with 888. And speaking of 888, we've had some co-driver market movement in the lead up to the 1000. We had confirmation that Jamie Whincup will partner Brock Feeney, and also at 888, Garth Tander will stick with Shane Van Gisbergen for this year's race. That quite does us for news in between rounds. Obviously, we've got Darwin coming up this weekend, and we'll have 27 cars on the grid. So we've got 2 wild cards this weekend, Zach Best and Jaden Ojeda. Best himself will be making his solo Supercars debut, and Jaden Ojeda also doing a wild card at Darwin. Other news, Will Davison has got his 500th race coming up on Saturday at Darwin. So he's only the 10th driver in Supercars history to achieve that, which is a phenomenal moment for Will. Talking more specifically about Darwin, Dick Johnson Racing took all 3 poles last year. There was wins for 888 though, because Dick Johnson Racing weren't actually able to convert their poles into race wins. Last time out at Winton Motor Raceway, we had Cameron Waters, who absolutely killed it during the races. He picked up 2 race wins, so you can hope to keep that momentum swinging into Darwin and keep the form up at Tickford Racing. We've got Shane Van Gisbergen leading the championship, so him and Cam had a great battle, a couple of great battles actually at Winton, and we're poised to see that again this weekend, you'd hope. Van Gisbergen leads the championship by 281 points over Anton Di Pasquale before we head to Darwin. So that does us for our look into the Darwin Supercars round. Make sure you check out the R&J Batteries event guide to keep across the track schedule and all the stats for this weekend. We've got Mobile One Live updates for you, and we've got the Super Cheap Auto car right behind me, which reminds me, make sure you check out the Super Cheap Auto Fast 5 quiz on speedcafe.com. So as I said at the start of the video, we're at Norway Motorplex today, and I'm here with Paul Morris to talk about what this place is. Paul, so for people that don't know the place, what do you guys do here?
Well, basically, we're not a racetrack, we're a training facility to learn how to drive, and that's the difference between this place and other circuits. It was specifically designed to train people. And the unique place about this is it's got everything you need to know as far as track layout, but the speeds are down enough where you can actually learn something. So our top speed here is probably 140, 150 Ks in a pretty quick road car, and that allows you to learn. So people can't learn under pressure, so if you're going too fast, you can't learn. So that's basically the gist of the place.
We've got the Super Cheap Auto car behind us here, but what kind of cars can other people drive?
Yeah, well, we've got a fleet of the V8 Experience cars, which are pretty good. We've built them all here in our workshop here, and they actually run on the Dunlop tyre that the supercar teams run on. And most people ask how fast are they. So around this circuit, it's about 4 seconds slower than actual proper V8 supercar. And the other thing that's really popular is our fleet of Toyota E6, which is our primary driver coaching training car. So kids straight out of go-karts into car racing, that sort of thing, right up to gentleman drivers in GT and Porsche. We have paddle shift cars for them as well. And yeah, even Brock Feeney's here today doing some coaching before he rolls up to Darwin.
So for people interested, they book through the website and call you guys?
Yeah, you can just jump on our website there. It's Norway Motorplex. Just Google that.
Fantastic. Thanks for being with us, Paul.
Thanks.
Ryco Syntec oil filters are used by leading supercars team Tickford Racing on their Mustang V8 engines, and now you can get one for your road car. As part of Ryco's partnership with Tickford, significant production enhancements have been made to the Syntec range, including larger ports that improve oil flow and a thicker base plate for added protection against oil pressure surges during endurance events, whilst maintaining superior filtration and life. Syntec is a premium upgrade over OE, so ask your mechanic for Ryco Syntec at your next service and fit the best oil filter on the market.